Hi, soul friends. It's Tannaz Hosseinpour, and welcome back to another episode of the Minutes on Growth podcast. Today, we have a really special guest joining us from Cyprus, George Lizos, spiritual teacher and award-winning author. Welcome.
Hi, Tannaz. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, before we dive in, for those who don't know you, can you tell us a little bit about your journey?
Yeah. Oh my God. It's a long journey, but to keep it short, it all started when I was 15 years old, growing up in Cyprus, a very small island. I grew up Christian, and with like small communities, they tend to be very judgmental and they expect you to like be a certain way. So for a very long time up to that point, I was trying to suppress who I was, being gay essentially. And I was suppressing my sexuality, trying to change myself, try to be someone I wasn't until I reached 15 years old. I had reached such a low point that I almost took my own life. And that was my turning point. That's when I had an epiphany. And I'm like, you know what? I can learn to love and accept myself exactly as I am without needing other people's acceptance. And while I was very into the Christian tradition at the time, I'm like, you know what? I cannot find that love within that tradition at that time. So I'm like, let me try and find out a different way of practicing and being spiritual. So that's when my spiritual journey started. Firstly, started from this journey of learning to love myself, forgive my bullies, learning to decondition myself from all the things that other people put up on me, all the energetic attachments essentially that I ended up adopting and living other people's lives. And then eventually developing my own spiritual practice by engaging with different practices until eventually I found energy work and meditation and astral projection at the time. And then more recently transitioning to the Hellenic ethnic religion, the religion of the ancient Greeks, which is my practicing faith right now. But energy work has been at the basis of it for years. And if only I had the tools that I know today of how to protect my light, protect my energy, then I wouldn't have had the need to go through that period of essentially repressing who I really was because I would have known how to protect myself, how to stay true to my authentic nature.
Wow. Thank you for so vulnerably sharing that. It must have been extremely challenging as a child, suppressing your truth out of fear, right? Out of
Yeah.
judgment. Mhm.
Yeah, fear coming from myself, but also from the surrounding world as well. Because when you grow up and you have people telling you you have to look a certain way, you have to study that, don't wear this, don't wear that, walk like this, walk like that, don't sound this, don't sound like that, then it just gets to you, and you have this idealized way of how you're supposed to be and behave. And if you're not that, then you start judging yourself. And we feel that in the world. We live in a
Mhm.
patriarchal world that expects us to be same. We have social media, and this has transitioned to being a much more serious issue right now, where we're constantly comparing ourselves with other people online, and we're held to such high standards of how we're supposed to be and what we're supposed to look like. So while it was a very personal experience for me, I now recognize it's a very common experience for many people in different ways.
True. I was going to bring up how, we're living in a period in time where we're constantly thrown this narrative of we're not enough
Mm.
unless we look and do XYZ. And exactly as you said, there's so much energy being thrown onto us. And so I'm curious, in your experience, how do we protect ourselves from that? And also if you can kind of dive deeper into this for younger generations as well, because I think once you get a little bit older, you have a little bit more courage,
Yeah.
maybe not as much courage when you're younger.
So how do you get, so what's the question again?
So how can we protect ourselves?
Uh,
Yeah.
so energy protection, the way that I define it, is the art of being energetically authentic. It's about ensuring that what's yours is yours and what's theirs is theirs. It's about taking a life back and ensuring that our thoughts, our emotions, our belief system, the way we behave is truly coming from our soul rather than is influenced by other people. So awareness is the first step.
Mhm.
Realizing that energetically, we're not just these physical bodies, we have an aura, we have chakras, we have an energy system, an energy body that's constantly receiving and sending information. So as we walk around and interact with different people, both online and offline, we absorb different energies from other people. I call them energetic attachments. And there are many different types of energetic attachments. We can talk about them later. But as we absorb them, our energy field becomes cluttered with all of that stuff.
Hmm.
And then there comes a point when we're not thinking like authentically or feeling authentically or behaving authentically. So it's about taking our life back. It's about ensuring that what we are giving out into the world, it comes from us. Now, how do we go about it? In my book, Protect Your Light, I talk about a 7-step process that we can all follow. But to break it down into a simpler process, the main 3 steps are identify, clear, and shield. Identify means identifying what kind of energetic attachments that are stuck within our energy field. Clear has to do with clearing them with different energetic practices. And then shield has to do with protecting ourselves so
Hmm.
that we don't attract any further attachments moving forward. Let me know if you have any questions up to this point, and then I can share practices essentially.
Yes, everything is resonating. So let's go into
Okay.
practice.
So when it comes to practices, the first step of identifying has to do with turning on our psychic vision. Now, it sounds fancy, but we can all see beyond what our physical eyes can. When we close our eyes and just sense what's happening around us or within us, we know we have like tightness in our stomach, for example. We
Hmm.
have, we can feel like tension at some part of us. We feel unregulated, to speak in like psychotherapeutic terms. We are emotionally unregulated, but that emotional dysregulation has an energetic component as well. And when you know
Hmm.
what to look for, oh, is it an energetic cord of attachment to someone? Could it be a dagger of attack or jealousy that some person sent to us energetically? Could it be a low level entity attached to our energy field? Could it be something like long standing, like a karmic curse or a karmic
Hmm.
contract, if we want to go really esoteric here? Or it could be just residual spatial energy we pick up from different spaces as we go through
Hmm.
life, or from online as well. We scroll through Instagram, we see something negative happening on the other side of the world, and instantly we feel affected by that. That's an energetic attachment. So what we know, what different types of energetic attachments there are, and I've just shared the main ones, then we can sense for them and identify them and feel of where they are. That's the first step. Second step has to do with clearing. Now, we all have all types of clearing tools that we're already familiar with. Palo Santo and saging, and we can use belts, and we can use smoke and fire and water to bless our essential oils, crystals. But what I wanted to do in Protect Your Light, as well as including these practical tools, is also including energetic tools that only require our intention and visualization. For
Hmm.
example, a simple one that I use every single day is visualizing an energetic net, a golden energy net right below my feet. And then I ask my spirit guides to filter that through my body and remove whatever kind of energetic attachments are stuck within my body or my energy field. It's symbolic, it requires intention, but also help from spirit, from the spirit world. And you're filtering everything outside of your body. So that's a clearing step. There are many tools that I teach, but that's a simple one that everybody can instantly start using. And then thirdly, the third step is shielding. And we are all familiar with shielding ourselves with white light. Like every single teacher, every single book you'll read about energy protection, oh, put yourself in a white light bubble. And I'm like, enough with the white light bubble. Yes, it is powerful, but it's not a one size fits all. The world has become increasingly complex, and our shielding practices have to match that complexity. It doesn't have to be complicated, but it has to be complex, meaning different types of circumstances and people require different types of shields. And I teach about transmuting shields, repelling shields, and amplifying shields, and also how to layer them.
Wow. Wow.
It's a
Um,
lot, but I've toned
yeah.
it down to like the basics.
So, as you were sharing, I'm thinking, okay, so first we need self-awareness to kind of go within and to identify, and then we need to clear it out and then protect ourselves and shield ourselves based on our needs and who we are. And as you're sharing all of this, I love it. But again, I'm going back to my initial question of, You know how the younger generation might not perhaps have that self-awareness, maybe because the prefrontal cortex hasn't fully been developed yet, but how can we do the clearing and the shielding without the identifying?
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. We can just trust that there are stuff that we
Mm,
inevitably attracted because every morning we shower, we go out into the world, we'll come back at the end of the day and we still need to shower because we interacted with people, we have sweat,
mhm,
we have like, we feel the energy of other people on us and we feel dirty, like physically dirty, and we are. So we take it for granted that we are also energetically dirty and we need to cleanse. So you don't have to identify. It's
mm,
helpful, but sometimes we don't have the time, and that's okay. And an easy practice that I teach people is I call the unicorn shower. And it's an easy practice people can practice in their shower. I like to visualize the running water as a process of like clearing, cleansing not just my physical body, but my energetic body as well. And water has been used to purify since the beginning of time. We look at cultures all around the world, all the ancients all around the world, they have used water to purify and to cleanse. Like in Muslim countries, for example, you cleanse before you
mm.
go into the mosque. In ancient Greece, you also like cleanse yourself in like wells and rivers or just ponds or just sources of water before you enter the temple. In Christianity, people get baptized. Okay. And
Mhm.
again, another way of cleansing. So water has purifying qualities, and we can work with our everyday shower to clear our energy.
I love that you brought spiritual hygiene into this and kind of just
Yeah.
incorporating it into our day-to-day life. And it doesn't have to be like a grand ritual. It can just be kind of merged into our day-to-day bodily practices.
Yes, I want to make energy work easy and simple. It doesn't have to be a complicated ritual every single day. It can all just Palo Santo or Sage. You don't need that. You just need your body. Our
Mhm.
body is our most powerful divination tool and energy protection tool. We can clear energy with our body. Another easy way that I teach whenever I speak on stage, and I don't usually bring tools with me. I'm like, okay, let me teach you how to cleanse using your own body. Clapping. By
Mhm.
clapping, you can break up energy because that sound. Why use a bell when you just clap around your energy field and break up the energy? And then you can hum to smoothen the energy. Or you can blow air. It's called sacred breath. So you can use your own breath to clear your energy as well.
I love that. They feel so doable, so simple, so easy. I'm curious for highly sensitive people or empaths, um, when you're working with them, what differences do you notice in maybe their energy fields or maybe differences around their shielding or their clearing?
Yes. The main issue with highly sensitive people and spiritual people in general, who tend to be more like sensitive, is that we attract way more stuff than other people do because we have less defenses, because we're naturally loving and helpful and want to be there for people. So we're constantly wide open. So whatever someone shares to us, we attract, and then it becomes our problem. Everybody vents to us. We attract, we're like magnets for people's issues. So that people
Hmm.
open up to us naturally because they feel they can trust us because they can. But if we don't know how to protect ourselves, then that we become like inundated with all this energy and information, and that can hurt us and deplete our energy field. And that's a very common thing that I see with healers, intuitives, highly sensitive people. So that's the main thing, is that we have more stuff that we need to clear daily. And also, it's important to learn how to shield without um, blocking ourselves off from the people we're here to serve and help.
Hmm.
So that's when we can layer shields. So let's talk about layering shields in different situations. I usually suggest that people layer two types of shields: an amplifying shield and a transmuting shield. Here's what I mean. An amplifying shield is a field that the shield is a shield that amplifies your energy. It raises your vibration. So it protects you by keeping you high vibe, so that when you interact with low vibe people, for example, or spaces or spirits, you're not so easily affected by them because you're high vibe. And that is, for example, the white light bubble. That is a rainbow bubble. That is a forest shield, visualizing yourself in a forest, for example. That is a shield, an elemental shield, for example. Um, and then we have a transmuting shield, which is a shield that transmutes negative energy as it comes towards you. This is ideal for highly sensitive people, intuitive people in helping professions, because you want to be there without warding people off. So
Mm-hmm.
you want to transmute what they're sending towards you. Transmuting shields include the violet flame bubble, it's a transmuting frequency of light, the violet flame, or the golden pyramid of light, visualizing yourself in a golden pyramid of light. The pyramid symbolically is a structure of protection. It connects heaven and earth together. The golden ray is the highest frequency of source. So by bringing these frequencies together, you can transmute energy as it comes towards you. So by layering an amplifying shield and then a transmuting shield on top, for most healers, it's ideal. If we're being attacked, okay, by someone,
Mm-hmm.
then that's when we have to call in the big guns and use a repelling shield, a mirror shield, for example, mirroring things back to other people. That's the most powerful mirror shield, that repelling shield that I often use.
Okay, so question. I'm visualizing myself in a white bubble, and then once I'm in a white bubble, I take myself in that white bubble in the golden pyramid,
Exactly. And that's
right?
how you layer them. Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
And then if I have to repel it, then I take my golden pyramid and I bring a mirror in front of it.
You don't have to take it off. You can
Okay.
just immediately visualize a mirror in between you and the other person. Let's say, for example, you're
Okay.
you're having an argument with someone. As soon as I'm having an argument, I'm like mirror shield with my intention. Some people
Mhm.
cannot visualize. Just intending it creates it. And the most powerful mirror shield that I've used is a globe of a mirror. So you visualize a globe, a
Mm.
bubble of a mirror that reflects outside. That's important. So you're sending that energy back. And sometimes people, highly sensitive people, they're telling me, but I don't want to hurt the other person, even though they're hurting
Yeah.
me. I don't want to send it back. And my thinking is, you're not really sending something new back. By them, for them to send you that energy of attack, that means they're already attacking themselves because
Mm.
they have already poisoned themselves with that energy. So by sending them back to them, you're not sending them something new back. You're sending them their own poison back so they can see it because they're already hurting themselves. You're not hurting them more. It's the same thing.
That makes a lot of sense. I love that. I love that visualization. Super practical, can really, I already, like, as I was imagining it, it felt really empowering. So thank you for sharing that. I'm, I'm curious. So let's talk about the online world, okay? And the
Yes.
digital, we're in the digital age. And how can we maintain energetic ownership of our online presence without withdrawing from the world? So, like comments, shares, personas, is there a balance? What does that balance look like?
Yes. Firstly, the same kind of tools I've shared to help us protect ourselves offline can be used online as well. So we can shield ourselves before going into social media to keep our vibration high, for example. We can even shield our social media by visualizing our Instagram account, for example, shielded with this bubble of rainbow light and then a golden pyramid of light. So same tools can be used the same way. And in Protect Your Light, in the book, I have specific practices for clearing our energy and shielding ourselves online as well, like using digital amulets, for example, to do so. Many people
Mhm.
use the emoji of the blue eye, for example, on their Instagram. That's an amulet that repels energy. Or we can use a talisman to raise energy, to amplify the energy of social media. But more practical terms, we need to change the way we perceive social media. So I think of the online world, the digital landscape, it's a landscape, as having different countries. We have Instagramville and Facebook land, okay? And in each country has different types of spaces, public spaces, private spaces, semi-private spaces. It's important to be aware of that. So like in the world, our home is a
True.
private space. We feel safe. We don't need to shield ourselves at home that much. We go out into the public space. It's a public space. We need shielding. We go into a class, it's a semi-private space because we are aware of who's there. We know the people, we've chosen to be there. It's controlled. Okay. social media. Let's take Instagram, for example. We have the DMs. It's to some degree a private space or a semi-private space. We have our feed. It's more or less a private space because we choose who to hear from, even though we have ads now. It's changed a little bit, but sometimes we can even choose what ads we want to see. And then we have the Explore tab, which is a public space.
True.
So we need to be aware of where do we want to hang out. Like I'm an introvert, even though I don't look it. So if I get overwhelmed by too many people in the real world, why would I go into the Explore tab and be inundated by all this information? Why would I go on Reddit, for example? I've made that mistake. Hugely public space. I would get panic attacks. I choose to stay within semi-private and private spaces where I can control the energy and I focus on sharing rather than consuming. That's another thing. Focusing on sharing more, consuming less. And when we're consuming, it's important for us to set the rules. If someone is sharing too much of a negative content, unfollow them or hide them so you only receive content that raises your vibration and protects you and doesn't trigger you. Because then we have traumas that get triggered. Like we can see something happening, like there's so many wars happening in the world right now. So sadly, so if we see something, it can get triggered. We can get triggering for people. Like me personally, even though I haven't lived through a war, I deal with generational trauma because
True.
Cyprus went through a war 50 years ago. My parents went through it. I heard stories about the war throughout my life. I've seen pictures. I was indoctrinated from school to be afraid of a war. So anytime that I see a picture or a video of a war happening anywhere in the world, I get triggered. Like fight, flight.
Yeah.
Why would you do this? So we need to take actionable steps, but also energetic steps to protect ourselves online.
I love that. So extremely intentional use of the online world.
Yes, being intentional and choosing to create. Why am I using social media? Is it for
Hmm.
entertainment? Is it for business? Is it for a specific purpose? If you're there to teach something, teach. Don't consume so much other people's stuff. Teach. Do what you're meant to do. Follow your purpose. If you're using social media for consumption, choose how do you hang out with, do you go out to the public plaza of your city and hang out with random people that you don't know and have drinks together? No, you choose your friends. So choose your friends online as well and don't hang out and get into arguments in public forums with people who you don't know their names, you don't know how they look, they don't share their picture, they don't show their real name. Why would you do that? They're not worth your time or your energy.
It's so interesting. So I've never had that specific language for it, but I have almost muted everyone's
Yeah.
stories on my social media, and I only go through them when I have the capacity to go through them. Um, because I've noticed that otherwise I'll kind of get like pulled into this loop and I'm just scrolling, scrolling, scrolling. But exactly as you said, like being intentional. Okay, it's not that I don't love you. I just want to give you that love when I have the capacity so I can be fully present and I'm not just like clicking for the sake of clicking.
Exactly. It's about being really intentional with it. And that digital landscape analogy that I used, I got that from Mark Zuckerberg.
Mm.
Zuckerberg, is that his name? Surname?
Yeah.
Yes, I think. So he used that analogy when he was talking a few years ago about the future of social media. And I'm like, they know it's a landscape. And they are the
Wow.
ones running the show. We should know it's a landscape and,
Wow.
and learn how to navigate that.
I love that. I think that's going to be really insightful and transformational for the
Mm,
audience listening. Um, I have a question. I want your take on it.
yeah.
Spiritual people stereotypes. And so I want your take because, like, sometimes people think, okay, to be an energy worker, to be spiritual, you have to dress a certain way, you have to look a certain way. And when you mentioned authenticity, for me, it's like those two don't go together right now, these stereotypes and authenticity. So, like, how do we break from it and how do we protect ourselves from it?
Excellent question. Firstly, I feel that spiritual stereotypes are dead. Niching is also coming to its own death in the sense that we are realizing that we're multidimensional people
Mm-hmm.
and we're not just one niche. I'm not just George Lizos, the spiritual teacher or author. I'm also an actor. I'm a singer. I do many things. And we're all gradually transitioning towards that. And I love that. Also, the stereotype of what it takes to be spiritual is also dying. And we can see that. Like I witnessed it last year when I released Secrets of Greek Mysticism. I went to a very mainstream show on YouTube all about Greek mythology, and I talked about it. And then I had bleach blonde hair and dressed more extravagantly with more intense makeup as well. Okay. I was very queer, and I am queer. I'm just expressing differently in this moment. But I went on that podcast, and the amount of hate that there is under the comments on YouTube is obscene. Like people can go and search ancient Greek revisited and my name, and you'll see the comments. It's hate upon hate upon hate. And the main thing is, how can you be spiritual and look this way and have bleach blonde hair and dress like that? You don't know the gods. You're not a true Greek. You're just propagating queer culture, blah, 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 blah. Similar interviews I do now with my natural hair color, dressed in a more acceptable, quote unquote, way in other people's worlds. Completely different narrative. Oh, great words and blah, blah, blah. What great wisdom. It shows the superficiality of the world when it comes to like we're stereotyping people, putting people into boxes. And
Mm-hmm.
because they look a certain way, they are that, or because they look a different way, they're not that. But this is coming from older generations, from boomers primarily. Okay. When I look at Generation Z and millennials, they're over it. And I actually attract people who dress differently and don't look the part in my community because they relate with
Mm-hmm.
expressing yourself in different ways and not putting yourself in a box. So there are different communities still out there that do that, but it's up to us to choose our community. And we can choose to be in communities that are accepting and loving and allow for multi diversity and variety.
Hmm. Everything is coming back to choice and this free will to choose.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm. I love this. If you could go back and give insight and wisdom to your 15-year-old self who felt suppressed, who felt dismissed, who felt that he couldn't show up authentically, what practical piece of advice would you give him?
Hmm. To spend more time with my hobbies and with my what makes me special, what like allow myself to lean into my passions a little bit more without guilt. Because while I was leaning into my passions, because our passions lead us to our purpose. This is
Mm-hmm.
the basis of this. Okay. Because when we follow our passions, we are following our bliss, and our bliss is synonymous with our purpose. So when we lean into our passions without the guilt, then we're gonna end up in the perfect place. Like if I lean into my passion of taking dance classes without worrying, for example, oh, what if people think I look like a girl because Cyprus in the 1990s, that's what it was. Or boys don't dance, for example. Or if I
Mm-hmm.
lean into my interest of like, I don't know, Barbie dolls, because I love them and still do right now, but I was afraid to do though, to do so, then I would step more fully into who I am instead of allowing other people's perspective of me to affect me. And just to share another personal story here, because I think it's going to be meaningful for people. 5 years ago, my dad passed away from cancer. And
I'm sorry.
I thought that I was living freely and expressing myself unapologetically for the most part after I came out to my dad, for example, because he had trouble accepting me. But after he passed away, something very interesting happened. 3 months later, my hair went bleach blonde. I got 2 piercings. I signed up to drama school and I started a sex podcast, a gay sex podcast. I fully stepped into a version of myself I wasn't even aware of.
Mm-hmm.
because my dad's presence in my life was keeping me back without me knowing or realizing it. Simply his presence was affirming the conditioning and the rigidity and the patriarchal indoctrination that I was conditioned to believe in. And I couldn't see that I was being inauthentic or not 100% authentic. And ever since, it's been a journey of like stepping more and more into that.
Wow. So our environment also plays a role in the identify um, process
Yes,
step.
that's what we do in our entire life. We're identifying stuff that has been stuck on us to remove them, whether it's trauma. So there are different types of healing. We have cognitive healing,
Hmm.
psychotherapy, for example, EMDR, like all these different tools that you teach about as well. And then we have um, emotional healing, we have somatic healing, we have
Hmm.
also energy healing and spiritual healing. We're ignoring these two parts. So we need everything. We need to take everything into consideration. And that's why after writing, actually in the process of writing my book, I also did a master's in psychology because I felt the need. I need to go deeper and understand the cognitive side of things as well. And I trained as a trauma specialist because I could see the connections. I
Hmm.
scan people's energy and see trauma and see sexual abuse. And I'm like, I can't just like clear the energy of that without dealing with the cognitive components and the memories and the trauma that's there, that's lived, and not re-traumatize people. So it has to be holistic. Healing has to be
Yes.
holistic.
I love this. I love this integrative, fully
Yes.
encompassing perspective on healing
Yes.
instead of just, looking at it through one element. I love all that you've shared, and I want us to go, deeper and deeper into every topic, but I want to be mindful of time. I have one last question.
Mhm.
What's your take on shadow work
Hmm. I feel
with
that
energy? Go
yes,
ahead.
to truly be a light worker, you first need to
Hmm.
be a shadow worker.
Hmm.
Like light work is shadow work. If you don't do the inner work, if you don't dig deep into your psyche to identify what's there, then how can you heal? Now, the in the book, I mentioned that I have a 7 step process. The final step is called do the work. And
Hmm.
by that I mean do the shadow work. And what I teach at the end of the book, last chapter, I'm like, you completed the book, well done. Your job begins now. The true work, the real work begins now. Energy work is not the end of the work, it's the beginning of the work. Because when you clear your energy, you open Pandora's box
Hmm.
and you unlock the next phase. You unlock the cognitive components, the emotional components, the trauma that comes to the surface that couldn't come up before because there was an energy block keeping it there. But once you remove the energy block, then the stuff comes up. And that's when you're called to do the shadow work. So, shadow work is a part of energy work.
Thank you so much for bringing that up, and how you said energy work is kind of like the beginning, and then that
Yeah.
leads to the awareness of what we need to work on. And I think that is so, so, so important, especially for people who might use one of these elements to bypass the other. So that's really profound. How can the audience find you and work with you, George?
So Protect Your Light, my book is available everywhere books are sold. But if you go to protectyourlightbook.com, when you get the book, you also get a free workshop all about identifying all the stuff around your energy field so you can clear them. That's like a free gift that I'm giving to people. But you can find everything about me on my website, georgelizos.com, or on Instagram at George Lizos.
Thank you so much, George, for sharing your wisdom, your insights, your vulnerable shares. I'm sure the audience is relating and appreciating. And yeah, thank you for showing up authentically and doing what you do.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. Speak soon.